Subscribe to the Raiders Report if you love the Las Vegas Raiders. If you want free videos every day that are going to make you a smarter Raiders fan. If you want to join an amazing community with over 210,000 diehard Raiders fans. And if you don't want Geno Smith back in 2026. If you answered yes to any of those, make sure you subscribe. Raider Nation, what's going on? I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, Geno Smith wants out of Las Vegas and will not be on the team next season. Coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell you why I am sitting up here telling you everything that I am going to be saying around number 7, around the quarterback, around Pete Carroll's little baby back, you know what. And I just want to be very clear here. I am not reporting that Geno will not be on the team. I give my opinion on this show. I'm not saying that when I get told something that I don't relay it to you, because I am not somebody that wants to be a beat reporter. I am not an insider, but I am a Raider fan like all of y'all. When I get information that I sit up here and I think, you know what? I bet you if I was a Raiders fan, I would really like that information. I share it with you. We got to be able to face the facts here, though. Where there's smoke, there is fire, and there is a lot of smoke right now around Geno Smith not wanting to be a part of this organization. And the final reason that you see on today's show is money related. And we know in the NFL, you got to follow the money, especially when your quarterback says, hey, that's why they pay me the big bucks. Let's go to the first reason here of why Geno Smith wants out of Las Vegas at the end of the season. Does anybody remember the whole Blame Geno press conference? If you don't, you definitely haven't subscribed to this show and you've probably been living underneath a rock. Well, I had members of the Geno Smith family reach out to me on social media, and they told me that Geno wants no part of this organization. He's done with the Raiders, and he is sick and tired of Raider Nation. I want to be very clear on this. I know I am not the only content creator that received DMs from people that consider themselves members of the Geno Smith family. I have waited a very long time to make this video, and if you've seen me talk about this in the past, I had to do my extra homework. I had to do my due diligence, and I went through social media. I reached out to a lot of people to confirm that certain people that reached out to me were, in fact, a part of the Geno Smith family. And I want to be very honest to the people, the family members that reached out to me. I don't blame you. Like, I don't blame you for coming after me for ripping apart somebody that you consider is your family, somebody that you consider literally is your blood. My old cousin, shout out to Andrew Shoup, he was the quarterback of Lafayette. And when I used to go to games, the people used to rip him apart a little bit. You know, I'd sit up there and be like, well, wait a minute, dude. Like, I would feel a type of way. I do not blame anybody from the Geno Smith family for coming after me and for coming after other content creators. And if you were one of the other content creators that had people from Geno Smith's family reach out to you, I'm hoping that other people speak up about this, because if family members are reaching out to me and other content creators telling us that he doesn't want to be a part of this organization anymore, I do think it is a topic that we need to discuss. Let's go to the next reason here. Why I'm confident Geno Smith wants out of Las Vegas and he's not going to be on the team next season. If you don't follow this show every day, I get it. It's a lot of stuff going on. The Raiders are a bad football team. But I do think that I have shown over the course of this year especially that when I got sources, they have not missed. And I had an agent tell me that he heard some rumors inside of the Raiders organization locker room about Geno potentially faking an injury. Now, if you've watched my show on Thursday night when the Cowboys and the Lions were playing, I sat up there and I said multiple times before the Denver Broncos game that I heard that Geno Smith could fake an injury. If you didn't see the game up against the Denver Broncos, he had his hand stepped on, left the game, did end up returning, and then he was rolling out to the right, got hit, fell, and he landed on his shoulder. I'm not saying that Geno faked that injury. All I am saying is this. When I hear something like, hey, there's rumblings right now, and certain players were talking about Geno apparently making jokes that he could fake an injury because he doesn't want to have to deal with some of the other things that are going on inside of that stadium. We'll talk about it here in a moment. But to me, again, where there's smoke, there's fire. If I hear an agent telling me that Geno could fake an injury, okay, I report it before he actually fakes or potentially has the injury, and then I see Geno Smith leave the field 2 times in different situations for that injury, and then Pete Carroll, when he talks to the media the following day, has absolutely no update on Geno Smith. I just say this, man. I have followed this team since February, since Pete Carroll has covered this team, And if there's one person that would have an update, it would be an update on your quarterback. And you're telling me in the last 24, 48 hours that nobody can get an update on that shoulder injury around Geno Smith? I just think it's a little bit fishy. And if I smell fish, I think there's fish in the water. Let's go to the next thing here of why I believe Geno Smith wants out of Las Vegas. The Pete Carroll comments. If you didn't see what Pete Carroll said after the Denver Broncos game, I already did one video on it. Earlier in the week, I've put out tons of content on social media. If you haven't seen it, give me a follow. IG, Twitter, Mitchell Renz 365. Real quick, here's what Pete Carroll had to say. We're going to need the fans to support us. I know we've got to give them something to cheer about. I'm not faulting them to be here when it turns so they can be part of it. But I think it's that first part. We're going to need the fans to support us. I believe Pete Carroll saying that to Raider Nation is proof. And I mean it's proof that Geno Smith and several other players don't like playing at home because it's hostile. Raise your hand, type me down below, hit the like button. I want fans that watch this show on a weekly, daily basis to have my back on this video because I know what the outside noise for people that don't watch the show are going to say. But how many times have I told you in the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks that I was told by agents, players, that they don't like playing at Allegiant Stadium because of the hostility. And if you looked at that game, Raiders-Broncos, it was all orange. And the Raiders fans that were there in attendance were rooting for the Raiders to lose. And Geno Smith, when he ended up leaving the game, was getting booed. And the fans, the loudest the Raiders fans cheered in that game. Outside of the touchdown to Jackson from Kenny Pickett, which again was an electric moment. The only other time that I think the fan base really, truly stood up on their feet and cheered when Geno Smith left the field. So to me, I've seen Pete Carroll do and say things that don't make any sense this year, and I've seen Pete Carroll defend players, certain players, way more than he's defended everybody else. And I'll sit up here and I'll say it. I believe Pete Carroll cares more about Geno Smith than he does the Las Vegas Raiders. So when I see the Pete Carroll comments about we need Raider Nation to support us, I think the us in that equation, he knows it's Geno Smith, and he knows Geno right now is frustrated with fans. He knows that Geno is frustrated playing at home. He knows how frustrated his quarterback is, and I think that Pete knows deep down that Geno doesn't want to play in front of its own fans, that Geno wants no more part of Raider Nation. And I really believe if Geno Smith finds a way to just drive himself out of Las Vegas, and when you see the final thing that I'm going to talk about on today's show, you're going to go, holy shit, yeah, Geno's going to be gone. So with all that being said, I think Pete Carroll's comments were his last-ditch effort because if Geno's not on board in 2026, Pete Carroll, no, he ain't going to be on board in 2026. So go down to the comments section. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. Take a minute. Take 2 minutes. If you want to vent your frustrations, I can't wait to see what you guys have to say. Go down to the comments section. If Pete Carroll was right here, I wish Pete Carroll was right here. I wish Geno Smith was right here. I wish they would write back to me. Give them something down in the comments section that you would say to them if they were standing right here. Let's go to the next reason here why Geno Smith wants out of Las Vegas. The mutual hate. Geno Smith doesn't like us. We don't like Geno Smith. And Geno can sit up there at the podium and give me a fake-ass apology all he wants. I don't think if you, and I actually encourage a beat reporter to do this. I would love for a Raiders beat reporter. You would earn so much respect from me. You would earn so much respect from Raider Nation. Next time Geno Smith takes the podium, go, do you like Raiders fans? I would love to see what he has to say because when you're caught flipping off your own fans and you try to get fans kicked out of a game, like, again, people are paying their hard-earned money, sometimes thousands upon thousands of dollars just to go watch this football team play. So when you got your quarterback trying to get people kicked out of a game, like, and I understand Geno's had to deal with a lot of hate, but, you know, I also think that Geno's put a lot of that, and Pete Carroll's put a lot of that on Geno. But, like, how are you as a Raiders quarterback going to run off a field saying F you to F you? And here's the thing, he's still saying F you. Like, I've had people send me so many comments of, hey, Geno Smith yelled at me and my friends while he was running off the field, F you, Geno. And I get it. If somebody was booing at me, I would probably want to say F you back. But, like, when Raiders fans boo and cheer when he left the game in Week 14, there's a reason why they're doing that. And they're doing it because when Geno Smith throws up a bird and nobody from this organization has the balls or the stones or the wherewithal to know that you can't let a little child throw a temper tantrum or else he's just going to keep on doing it. And, like, that's what Geno Smith has done. Like, I'm telling you this right now, I have never hated a Raiders player more then I hate Geno Smith. And at this point in the season, I can't wait for this year to be over because I can't wait to do a show going live. And I'll tell you this, I'm going to be throwing birds up left and right in that show. So if you hate Geno Smith, I want you to hit that like button. And if you think hate's too strong of a word, that's okay. I'm not going to get too upset about you because I do think hate is a strong word. And I hate the fact that I hate my Raiders quarterback. But I'll also stand up for the nation. I'll stand up for myself. And if Geno Smith's actions haven't made you hate him, and if Geno Smith's actions don't make you feel a type of way about our Raiders quarterback, I encourage you to hold yourself to a higher standard. And I'm just going to leave it like that. Coming up next here on the show, the biggest reason why Geno will either demand his way out or the Raiders are going to cut him at the end of the season. But the final reason is the biggest reason why I know for a fact Geno Smith is going to want out of Las Vegas. If you don't already know, Prize Picks, and first off, before I show you what I'm about to show y'all, I got to tip my cap here to Prize Picks because not only are they America's number one fantasy sports app out there, not only are they the number one place where I like to put my takes to the test, they're also absolutely positively hilarious. And if you haven't seen the big-time NFL news going on today, Phillip Rivers, back in the NFL, signed with the Indianapolis Colts at 44 years old. I'm not going to show you my lineup in this one because I would rather you just tell me right now, more or less, on Phillip Rivers' passing yards at Seattle, 127.5. If you don't notice something on screen, then you might be even older than Pete Carroll. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to be able to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Let's go to the final reason here of why I believe Geno Smith's time in Las Vegas is over, and it will be over after this season. I could sit up here and I could say Geno Smith family members, my sources' comments, Pete Carroll's comments, the mutual hate. But the number one reason why, it's the money. And a lot of times in the NFL, when you look at things and why certain things are going to happen, you got to look at the dollar bills. You got to look at the tea leaves. You got to listen to the reports, the rumors. But, I know what I've seen from Geno Smith this season, and I know all the tape that I watched on Geno Smith. And there's a lot of really smart people in the National Football League that do this for a living that also thought Geno Smith was going to be a good quarterback, and Geno Smith was a good quarterback. But the Las Vegas Raiders, they went out, they traded for Smith this offseason. They gave Geno $58.5 million fully guaranteed, but guess what? It's kind of a little bit similar to the whole Derek Carr situation. If Geno Smith is, let's say, injured, and he's unable to finish off the season, well, he actually gets $66.5 million guaranteed, and that's that $8 extra million. If you go on over the cap, you're going to see 18.5 if he's cut, $8 million in savings. We don't save $8 million if Geno Smith ends this season and he's injured. And it's going to be kind of hard, I think, to prove it because I don't think Pete Carroll would want to prove it because I think Pete Carroll wants Geno Smith to get the money. So if Geno Smith keeps doing everything that he's doing, and Geno knows he's going to make $18.5 million next season, no matter what, because of the contract that the Raiders guaranteed him, Geno Smith knows whether he's on the Raiders or if he's on another team, he makes $18.5 million from the Las Vegas Raiders. So Geno Smith is going to do this. He's going to take his $18.5 million. He's either going to man the Raiders to cut him, or the Raiders are just going to outright cut him. And then Geno knows that he can sign with a brand new football team in 2026, which means he can sign another contract. He gets away from the scary Raider fans, and he can make more money. That's everything that I think Geno Smith cares about. And Geno has shown me all off season. He has shown me all season that all he cares about is the money. That's why he probably said, pay me the big bucks this offseason when he was yelling at some people at a high school game. When your actions speak the way that Geno Smith's actions have spoken, and it's not only his actions off the field, it's his play on the field. And again, I look at a quarterback from when he looked like his previous few years in Seattle to what he looks like now. It looks like a quarterback that got paid, cashed it in, and didn't really give a flying flip what happened after that. but also I think he's not giving a flying flip because he knows that he can flip off fans. He knows that he can try to get fans kicked out of games. He knows that he can literally say F you, and here's the thing. He's been saying F you to fans the past 3 weeks, and yet you, John Spytek, a lot of people are going, where's John Spytek? John Spytek needs to step up here because your job's safe. You know your job's safe. If I'm Tom Brady, if I'm John Spytek, if I'm people in that front office, I sit down Pete Carroll and Geno Smith and I go, why is our quarterback, somebody that wears a C on our chest, still flipping off fans and still saying F you to people? It's inexcusable. But the reason why it's happening is because you, Pete Carroll, have not put your little baby in timeout. And when you don't put a little baby in timeout, they grow up to throw temper tantrums. And that's what Geno Smith has done. And you know what, Mark? When you keep hiring bad head coaches and you let these head coaches call all the shots, this type of shit happens, and it doesn't happen to any other team more than the Las Vegas Raiders. It is time for change. It is time to move on from Pete, move on from Geno Smith, go get a young head coach that wants to be a part of this organization and wants to build his legacy with this organization. I want a quarterback that wants to build his legacy with the Las Vegas Raiders. Geno Smith don't want to do that. Pete Carroll ain't doing it, and I am done with Geno Smith and the Pete Carroll Raiders. So, this is why Geno Smith wants out of Las Vegas. I've had Geno Smith family members reach out to me and multiple content creators telling me he doesn't want to be a part of this organization anymore. My sources confirmed to me that Geno was going to potentially fake an injury because he also knows the injury clause in his contract. And then guess what? Injury ends up happening in Denver. Think it's kind of an interesting statement. Pete Carroll's comments. Pete Carroll's comments about Raider Nation supporting us. The us, I believe, for Pete is Geno Smith because he knows if Raider fans aren't on board with Geno and if Raider fans aren't on board with Pete, because Pete was brought in to win football games, to get Raider Nation to rally. He's failed at both of those things. Geno Smith hates fans. That's why he tells us F you and flips us off. And guess what, Geno? We hate you too, so you can keep your shit apologies. But the Geno Smith contract, Geno Smith, no matter what, makes $18.5 million, whether he's on the Raiders or not. And he can go sign elsewhere once he's cut, making more money. Geno Smith cares about himself and only himself and doesn't give a flying flip about the Las Vegas Raiders. That's why he will not be on this team in 2026. If you made it this far in the video and you enjoy my rants, you enjoy the content that I provide, give me a follow on Instagram, give me a follow on Twitter, because I'll tell you this right now. I am a very emotional person when I do this show, but it's because I've done this show every single day since 2018. I put out a video every single day on this show, and I don't want people to always agree with what I say. I don't need people to believe everything that I say. But if you do truly believe in your heart of hearts commitment to excellence, and if you do really truly believe in your heart of hearts that when you put good energy out in the world, good stuff happens, and if you really truly believe what it means to you to be a Raider, does Geno Smith have any of those qualities of what it's like to be a Raider? I personally do not think that he does. And I know that I'm a loud voice. I consider myself the voice of Raider Nation. But I hold that because I do believe the community we've been able to build here is a loud community. And I know that we can make change happen. It might not happen overnight. It might take a week. It might take a year. But you know what, man? I want the nation to rally. And I want Pete Carroll, Mark Davis, and Geno Smith to really feel and understand what the nation can truly do.